Today is Sunday, February 22nd, 2026, and today is National Cook a Sweet Potato Day, which feels like a reminder that sometimes improvement just means applying steady heat. Welcome to This Day in History from, wait, that's random. I'm your host, C.L. Burns. On this day in 1863, one of the early demonstrations of an automatic piano mechanism was recorded publicly. Before this, music required presence. A pianist sat at a keyboard, pressed keys, controlled timing and pressure manually. If no one played, there was no performance. Automatic piano mechanisms changed that. They used perforated paper rolls. Each hole in the paper corresponded to a note. As the roll moved across a tracker bar, air flowed through the holes. That airflow triggered pneumatic mechanisms that pressed the corresponding keys. The music wasn't being decided in real time. It had already been encoded. Performance became programmable. Instead of skill at the moment, the skill shifted to whoever created the roll. Music detached from the musician. That didn't eliminate artistry, but it introduced repeatability. And once something creative becomes repeatable, distribution expands, which leads naturally to another refinement and control on this same date. In 1884, Lewis Waterman received a patent for a practical fountain pen. Before reliable fountain pens, writing meant interruption. You dipped a steel nib into ink, wrote a few words, dipped again, blotted excess, hoped it didn't smear. The problem wasn't the nib, it was ink flow. Waterman's design introduced a feed system. Small channels beneath the nib that regulated how ink moved from the internal reservoir to the tip through capillary action. Instead of flooding unpredictably, ink flowed steadily. The reservoir stored ink inside the barrel. Air replaced the used ink gradually, preventing vacuum lock. The result? Continuous writing. Less mess, more portability. It sounds small, but removing interruption increases output. Letters multiplied. Business documentation expanded. Contracts accelerated. When friction decreases, volume increases. And that same theme appears again, this time inside computers. In 1972, computer scientist David Gerald described the concept of a self-replicating computer program in academic literature. Before this, programs executed instructions written by humans and stayed where they were installed. Software did not autonomously spread. The concept of a self-replicating program introduced something new. A program could copy its own code into another location, then execute again, and repeat. Mechanically, it meant writing instructions that locate another system or files, insert a copy of its own code, trigger execution on that new host. It wasn't immediately malicious, but the structure was powerful. Replication without manual distribution. Once software can propagate itself, control becomes layered. Security becomes necessary. Defense systems evolve. Digital ecosystems emerge. 3 different centuries, 3 different mechanisms. Music encoded into paper. Ink regulated through channels. Code designed to copy itself. In each case, the shift wasn't louder. It was stronger. It was smoother. When systems reduce friction, they multiply impact. And once impact multiplies, the world adjusts around it. Anyway, those are the things we ended up tracing today. Stop by tomorrow and we'll see what the day decides to reveal. If you want to know more about me or the work I do, you can find everything at waitthat'srandom.com. I'm C.L. Burns, and I appreciate you stopping by.